Hello. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the No Nonsense live stream. Let's see if we are rolling. Are we rolling? I think so. We are. Perfect. Cool. What's going on? Apologize. I did not get to the stream yesterday. Just wasn't going to work out with the schedule. So I'm off today. Here we are. It's all good. Man, a lot going on in the last couple days, and I had no idea what to do this stream on, so just kind of winging it. The title says Nature, Naysayers, and Nonsense, and where to begin. So much nonsense that sometimes, even if you detach yourself from this nonsense, there's no way to completely avoid it. I'm sure by now we've all seen the Nancy Pelosi tearing up the president's speech thing. That's nonsense. It's a wonderful show. It's a beautiful act. We'll start there. I don't dabble into the politics too much because if the only thing you have to talk about is politics or your sexual orientation, you're not interesting to me. And you're not really taking responsibility for your life, being honest with yourself. So, no, I don't want to talk to you. And so I saw that moment. Oh, it was also the Super Bowl last Sunday. That was nonsense too, with Shakira and Jennifer Lopez. Ugh, God. 50-year-old woman and a 40-something. It's like, oh, Jesus. Time to hang it up. But, all those baby sacrifices and smearing your face with baby penises, that I guess that works for those ladies. Anyway, back to the Pelosi thing. Now, I just saw it. If you think it's not all planned, I don't know what to tell you, because the stage of politics is just that. It's a show. The people that run the world and the countries, it's not who you think it is. Although those people have a part to play in politics, they are a tier of puppeteering that needs to exist in order for everything to function. It's like anything in this world, even if you break it down on a small level. If you don't have a person, a part, a gear missing, it all goes off the rails. You need everything, right? So you need the crazy shit show of the politicians and all that stuff, and everybody hating Trumpness. And so I took this, like, I had an objective point of view with the whole Nancy Pelosi thing. So we're going to talk about nonsense first. That was totally planned. And also to get a reaction. Now, if we were to go into history, American history, we don't even need to go that far back. Any acts of treason against the United States, you're put to death. What I witnessed Nancy Pelosi do, if we are going by the rules that we've established in this country, that's treason. It brings me to the point of you can't consent to nonsense. And it's a clear example that the more we consent to, that's real nonsense. Because even if you crazy people who think like a woman president or somebody who has no penis who became a woman would be better off in the office, let's say they are. Let's just say that happens, okay? Let's say there's a woman president. If anybody, regardless male or female, did that to the president, the person running the country, as disrespectful as that is, and there's no consequences for those actions, and it's like a kid, telling its parents to go fuck off and nothing happens. Parents just go, oh, I guess that's okay. It's not okay. You can't consent to nonsense. And America, you crazy fucks, are consenting to it out there. You want to know how you combat nonsense like that? You make an example of somebody. I watched that movie, The Irishman. And, classic mob movie. You do your job. You're great. You get rewarded. You fucking get out of line. You're gone. There's a part of me that goes, we need to honor that a little bit because if I'm not mistaken, any acts against the United States, treasonous acts, is punishable by death. When you rip up the president's speech, what is that? Nothing happens. Like, he's a champ, he just brushes us off, but everybody else reacts to it. I think, though, that was a bad move because people who don't partake in nonsense know that's not a good thing in the long run. This childish behavior that you consent to, that you let the kid get away with and think it's okay, it's not. There will be consequences for this. I don't know what they're going to be yet, but it ain't going to be good. That's nonsense, man. How do you combat nonsense? It starts with you in your own home with morals, values, any kind of fucking rules or discipline that you might have. If you're morally bankrupt, then you need to find a way back to it. And then once you have, begin to lead by example. And that's how you combat nonsense. If that was in my home and that was my child disrespecting the father, that shit does not fly. And I'm not saying like, oh, let's go back to beating the shit out of people. It's called no. If there are no consequences for actions, of course, think of your own life. How you knew what you can get away with, like say with your own parents. Now, just amplify that on a nationwide scale, right? That is not only disrespectful to this country, and I'm not even I don't believe in the whole, but if you have no hierarchy of any kind of rule, it leads to complete and utter chaos and destruction. But sometimes it might be inevitable. History shows that might just have to be what happens. But, if I was a dictator, that shit, wouldn't happen. And people would know that. That's why when there are dictators, that shit doesn't happen because people get dealt with. So this is how you know that everything in those politics, one, is nonsense. It's all a show. It's a wonderful show to keep us fighting amongst each other. Everybody's fighting. Oh, don't you say that? And then some people think it's wonderful, and then people are always picking sides. I go, look, I get tired of nonsense. Like I opened up my email this morning and I saw an article. Some actor chick from some show I've never heard of came out on Twitter as being queer. And it's like, I don't care. This whole agenda of sex and who you fuck and what you do, it doesn't matter. That's nonsense. If you think it matters, you're a part of the nonsense. It does not matter. What matters is your character as a person. Doesn't matter who you sleep with. I don't care. Are you able to help when help is needed? Can you contribute something other than to the number of people you stuck your fucking dick in? I mean, because that doesn't really impress me or actually most people. Nobody gives a shit. So I read the article. It's just she comes out as queer. Like, I didn't want to do it on here, like taking this high road. Nobody cares that you're gay or whatever you're doing. Everybody has a battle. Not everybody's battle is the same. The battle within, the shadow, the darkness, everybody has it. Everybody. And it's all different variations. Your problems are not my problems. My problems are different than your problems. Doesn't mean they're more or less severe or worthy of talking about. It just means they're different. All right. The struggles pretty much reside in the mind. So it's not wonderfully brave or any of that stuff to come out and be like, I'm gay. Nobody cares. Are you a good actor? You're in a show. Is the show shit? Are you doing a good job with that? Other than that, I don't care. Stop talking about it. It's nonsense. It really is. And I know a lot of people, I have actually a lot of friends who like constantly, I've got, like, when people hang out with a circle, they love that circle so much that even if it's nonsense, they're willing to die on that hill. And you know what? That's your choice. Pick a hill to die on in this world. This is why I don't talk about politics or any of that shit that much, because it's a waste of time. Most people are on a level 1 of ignorance that you can't even break through that crack shell. And even if you can, there's just so much to unpack. So what I figure out is that you need to go on these journeys for yourself. You need to figure out the truth, be honest with yourself, be honest with others. Everything will be okay. No nonsense. That's why I adopted the name to the stream called the No Nonsense live stream. No more. I don't want to talk about politics or gay or that Pelosi act. If I were president, she would be removed from office and punished accordingly. That shit doesn't tolerate. Think about it. Just reverse the think here. Step back from your emotionally charged point of view and look at it. If you did get what you want, let's say you got a gay person in as a president, and it's a woman or whatever, and they're all about it's Bernie Sanders. You got it. And then somebody else did that. You would be furious. Try to understand rather than be understood. If you can do that, you really start to see how much nonsense is there that is poisoning your mind from making your life joyful. Joyful, bliss, things like that are things that an individual needs to achieve in their own life so they can be okay. The world, not, if you look at it from a world perspective, it's not going to happen. But you can start with your own self by not consenting to the nonsense. Don't believe everything you hear. Don't believe everything you read. Don't believe everything people say. Don't even take my fucking word for it. Do this on your own, but don't lie to yourself. Don't pretend. If you feel like something isn't right and you're just going along because you're scared to speak up, don't. Don't be a coward in the eyes of something that needs to be talked about. Don't consent. Because every time you consent to bullshit and you let the behavior go without any percussion, this is why we have shitty kids today. This is why half my generation's fucked up on drugs and alcohol and pills, because we had parents who, when we acted out, just let it go. Well, just give the kid everything. And when they threw a tantrum, they just turned the other cheek. Now you've got psychopaths, narcissists, sociopathic people who don't care. Genuinely don't, and are just about themselves, but yet at the same time are going insane because you didn't say no when it mattered, which was at a much younger age. The younger you start by not consenting to nonsense with children, the better you'll be. It starts there, and if you're a parent, fucking starts with you. Stop with the bullshit. There's a nature to things. This is why I said nature, naysayers, and nonsense. Let's talk about the naysayers for one thing. People who criticize things. If somebody is actively shouting very loudly against a person for being something, they are that something. If somebody's calling somebody racist, bigot, homophobe, they are the real bigots and homophobes and racist people, okay? And if you haven't figured that out by now, you're retarded. Anybody who speaks emotionally charged nonsense like that is the person who's the wolf in sheep's clothing. They hate those people. The people in power that are standing up for the LGBTQ, tree, blah, 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 all that shit, they hate those people. And they're pushing them out in front to slaughter them. Because it's easy to do, because they can control their minds. Because they know that their emotions are out of fucking whack, because they have no idea who or what they are. Then that right there is grounds for infiltration. And when you infiltrate a person's mind that's already broken, you've got them. They'll do anything you want, any way to relieve the pain, anywhere to not feel that pain. They'll jump on board the one fucking thing that makes sense. Infiltrate a mind. You can infiltrate a mind with truth too and break these fucking spells and heal from them, and know that by not consenting to nonsense. Okay? Anybody talking loudly about what it is we need to do as far as love and acceptance. They are not people who practice this stuff in their life. And from my own experience, this is something that each individual person, I believe, has the power within themselves to choose the light and or the darkness, but they have to choose it on a daily basis. They have to decide how they're going to react at any given moment in any given situation based on what I think to be a firm ground in a spiritual fitness, not religious or God, but you need to have a position, a mindset, a calm, a serene being. If you ever put an emotion first, ask yourself, how many times have you been angry in your life? What happened, right? When you punched a hole in the wall, or you threw the chair across the room, or you told your fucking girlfriend to go fuck herself, bitch, or she threw something. What happens when emotion trumps your serenity, your logic, your reason? Nothing goes well for anybody. Okay. And if you can get people that are erratic in their emotions, they're so easy to manipulate and control. And all you got to do is tell them a few things, it'll be okay. Those people, that's what happens. And the people who are speaking up for most of those people, they know that. And they're very aware, and they're using them just as they're pawns. If we were playing chess, those transgender LGBT those pawns. Most people, if you talk to them that are gay, and I know gay people, they just are just people. Like, hey, I like to suck some dick, and I watch musicals. And you're like, okay, fine, cool, that's nice. You know, I could take the honesty. I've always been a big advocate that even if I don't agree with something you say or do, like on some kind of level, it's like if you're being honest about it, I respect you at least for the honesty, you know, instead of lying. No, I never thought or said or did any of that. It's like just be honest. Honesty with all people is great. But if you do honesty in an emotional sense, then that's when you're attacking things, and it's very destructive for everybody involved. Yourself, you'll lose any serenity or peace of mind you have by giving in to your emotion, especially anger. Anger is a flip side of what? Sadness comes from loss. What are you losing? What are you fearful of? Everything stems from a fear of something. Fear. And if you can get people scared enough, damn, the human beings, like I say this all the time, we're so smart, we're stupid. Because all you got to do is pump a little fear into people, bam, immediately those emotions start twirling. And then all of a sudden, you got a bunch of fucking people ready to follow the first person who makes any sense. It's fascinating. Very fascinating. Which brings me to nature. So beware of the naysayers. I criticize the shit out of people, but I don't like bullshit. People that you could just tell are just using people to get to the next thing, because we're all selfish, self-centered, folks. I'm selfish, self-centered. I know this. We all are. I think as human beings, we just have it within us to be that self-preservation thing. But you can also not consent to nonsense. And every time you say no to nonsense, you'll let in a little bit more light into your soul. And then you will you'll see clearer, right? Your life will get better. You won't be as emotional. You won't be as discontent. You won't be angry. You will be pretty clear to see the nonsense as it comes by you. Not all the time. You still be fooled every now and then. Nothing's perfect, right? This is why we make mistakes. We learn our lessons, right? But the more honest you are with yourself about your own motivations, things like that, desires, then it's fine. And I honestly think, everybody picks a way of life, right? For me, I really just stick with the honesty and principle thing. And sometimes it's a lonely road. Nobody likes to hear truth 100% of the time. People love truth and honesty, but only when it's convenient and it doesn't hurt their feelings. But if you're speaking truth all the time, you need to hear it because in the mid to long term of life, the long road, the future, where society and things are going, you have to tell the truth now. Okay. Otherwise, you're in the 2020 funk that we are, where constantly for years now, people going on about whites and blacks and racism and LGBT gays and this and that. Nobody cares. And the people who do care are ignorant, stupid, and it's projected onto people, right? It's projected onto people. This is why I believe you have to remember your inner child. Because when I was a kid, nobody cared. Everybody played with everybody on the playground. We didn't give a fuck, right? We didn't care who you were. And then that got to show you who was as in nature, who was the dominant one of the group. That person's a leader. This person's a piece of shit. They're a loser. And the hierarchies were pretty established young. I think as you get older, I have a theory that if you've been one of the weaker people that got just sucked as a kid and you got that torture, and then you grow up, you get a little power, you get a little money, you get a little influence. What does it do? Corrupts your mind, makes you wrathful, makes you go, I'm going to show the people that hurt me, that don't even there anymore. It's not even direct. It's just the people that are like that, like they're going to suffer now. Wrath is very dangerous, folks. It's one of the 7 deadly sins. Wrath. Not a good thing. And I think it's in our nature. Again, I really believe there's a divine spark within us. So we have the ability to tap into the light, or we could tap into the darkness, the yin, the yang, the good, the evil. Pick whatever makes sense to you. It's in with each soul. This is why human beings, we do separate ourselves from nature, the animals, right? Like a dog, 2 dogs, they just want to hump all day, eat food and look at you and just, They're very practical, right? They'll bark when they think something's up, but they don't really understand. They'll love you when you leave. They'll love you when you come home. That's how the dogs are. They'll go to the person who's ever closest to them because they know this person feeds me. They take care of me. That's all it is, But dogs don't have that thing like, you know what? I don't like my owner. I think I'm going to go try a different owner. Human beings have free will. Why do we have free will? I don't know. People say God-given. Sure, whatever. All I know is we're the only species that we know of that exists that can do what we do and have these choices where you can choose the temptation evil road, get your dick sucked right now by a whore down in Brazil, or you can choose the life road of your companion, your partner, spend 50, 60 years growing with another soul, enhancing your energy, becoming something greater than just you. There's that, because individuals are powerful, but when you unite the yin and yang, this is why I know being in a long-term relationship, marriage, or whatever is so much more beneficial than just being on your own. If you can combine your soul with another and grow together, and not in societal terms, like the stupid happy wife, happy life. No, the natural order of leadership in humans and nature, which is man, woman, child. God, man, woman, child, if you will. That's natural. It's something that is just natural. And we can fight it all we want. And it takes a couple generations. We flip our freaking pendulum the other way. Now we're seeing what it's like to have too much women stuff, where it's too, like, I believe in being kind to others. I do. You have to have the balance, but you also have to know when are you being kind, taking advantage of them, and consenting to nonsense. See, this is where the challenge comes for the individual. You have to decide this, because what you think is is the right thing to do turns out in the long road is sealed a lot of people's fate. All because you said yes to nonsense. See, people don't think that they have power. One person has more power than a fucking herd of morons. And you just have to tap into that truth, honesty, no nonsense. Nature has a way. God has a way, whatever you want to call it. I'm not religious, folks, okay? I grew up Catholic. I hate church. It's fine. But nature at least has a hierarchy of how things should be. It's an order. It's natural. When you fight against the order, because human beings, again, we're so smart, we're stupid, we get into situations like we are today where we stop having a balance of uh, a level playing field of the good and evil, you know? Shitty behavior, good behavior. It's like the Nancy Pelosi thing. That is unacceptable behavior on so many levels. Something needs to be done by it. And it's not always a punishment that needs it, but again, think of your own. If this is something you're like, oh, that's oh, but don't make justifications for shitty behavior because then you're already part of the problem. Never make the justification for the shitty behavior. You call out the shitty behavior with the people in your life. You say the truth. Let it be. Let it sink in. Let that seed of truth blossom within that person's mind. That is unacceptable. If that was your house, your daughter, whatever, and somebody did that and disrespected you, it's nature. Animals respect nature. Hawks, pigeons. The hawk is respected by the other birds because they know at any given time that hawk will swoop down and snatch them. I saw a hawk snatch a cardinal out the backyard, eat the cardinal in the garden. It snowed to cover the carcass, and then all the birds returned and they go back to the way everything is because they simple fears, they run out in fear, but they come back and life continues on. But the hawk is always there, but they don't stop their life out of fear. They continue to live because they have that practical instinct of just, all right, well, hawk's gone now. I guess we can go back to eating the bird feed. So, what does the hawks and pigeons mean? Don't be a pigeon. Don't be stupid. Don't give in to the nonsense. Stop looking at the screen. Detach from this shit. Become one with reality again. That's what I say. I have not really watched, I don't even have TV, but I don't watch any shows. And I'm still in a running, like a running, this is how you know there's nonsense here. My lady wanted me to watch the show How to Get Away with Murder. It's an old ABC show. It's still on. It was recommended by people, and she's really on board with a lot of stuff that I say, which is we don't try to watch shitty stuff. You know, we read a lot of mind, better stuff for the mind kind of thing. And I go, I told her right off the bat, I'm like, I don't want to watch fucking nonsense. I'm like, How to Get Away with Murder already in the title. I go, but people's justification, and let me tell you why this is important. I'm a man who once lived his life vicariously through entertainment, movies, TV shows, grew up in the 80s, cartoons, all this stuff. That's all I knew how to live was by mimicking a funny line from a Family Guy or a old movie, and I love all this stuff too because that was my life for a while. But for the last 5 years, I've been slowly just pulling myself out of that hellhole that I dug, and it's pretty clear to me what this stuff really does to your mind in the long term. We think it's harmless. We think we're just watching a show. Oh, it's just entertainment. Oh, we just get outside your it's fine. We're just relaxing. No, it's not. It's poison for your fucking mind. And here's how I know. So this show, How to Get Away with Murder, I watched the pilot episode with my lady, and immediately, if you don't know the show, pretty much it starts off, it's a bunch of young interning college lawyers or something, and then they're under the wing of like this professor trying to teach them law, and she's all fucking hard ass, of course, powerful black woman. She's got to be that. And then she's teaching them, how do you get this case? How do you call it? They're trying to do this. In the meantime, as the show progresses forward in this first episode, there's gay sex, an affair with the professor, powerful, strong woman with some cop guy who eventually she calls on the stand and puts him on the spot. And people like to think, oh, that's just a twist. Look at all that interesting stuff going on. I go, it's poison for your fucking mind. Why is it poison for your mind? You could tell the story of that first pilot episode without the gay sex, the deceptions and the lies and the killing, and you don't need it. And but it's called How to Get Away with Murder. That's the show. And and you're a pigeon. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to something above you. The gay sex was unnecessary, but you see, it's the deception, the behavior that you have to pay close attention to in these shows because it gets implanted in your brain. The more you watch it, you slowly start to unconsciously kind of develop these habits in your own life, thinking it's okay to cheat on my wife or my husband. It's okay to lie. It's okay to do because I did it because my intentions were good. The gay sex, like, you didn't need the gay sex thing. Like, why? I don't care. Again, I don't care. It doesn't need, even straight sex doesn't need to be in most things to get a point across, right? It doesn't. And if you're honest with yourself, it doesn't carry the story on unless you're watching a movie like Unfaithful or Zack and Miri Make a Porno, which is very obvious what those movies are about. But it doesn't need to carry the story along. It's just in there. It gets, because it taps into that instinct, that primal, just, yeah. But it doesn't, it's nonsense. Like, it shows that behavior, again, the nonsense behavior of, here's a married woman who's supposed to be this hard ass fucking professor, and all she is a whore, cheating on her husband with a cop who then she calls on the stand and turns and puts him on the spot and puts his life in jeopardy because of all these shitty decisions. Like, that's not good. Like, in reality, that's a recipe for disaster. And I've known people in real life, not exactly like, but have done shit like that. And the ramifications in real life, folks, are horrible. It doesn't work like it does in those TV shows in Hollywood, but you get it in your mind, you start behaving like that, and then you feel real pain. Then you feel real guilt and shame for your actions. Then you get to live with that. If you have a fucking soul, some people I did what it is. And that's fine. At least you're honest by it. You're like, I don't feel anything. Great. If you're honest, great. But I think most people have this moral sense, a compass, that's not how they want to be. But they can be warped, because if you can get into the mind, dude, you can twist people in any direction you want. You just gotta find the hot spot and go. It's very powerful shit. And shows like that, you think you're just watching for entertainment value. Now, I have sensed, again, like I said earlier, I still love movies and entertainment and stuff. I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I thought that was good. The Irishman was good. Like, those are movies I can get on board with. Not the fluffy bullshit Netflixy crap. Just, This Is Us. It's horrible. Horrible nonsense. It's just shit. And it is what it is. I'll call out the shit because that's what it is. Shit. Okay? Because I don't consent to fucking bullshit. That's what it is. So I watched one episode with my lady, never watched again. I'm like, I'm done. And then she continues to watch it. And I go, you could fill your mind with that poison if you want. And then later she talks to me. She's like, you see the poison? I go, yeah. Now you get, these things that people battle in their life, they take for granted and lightly. It's not. These are real things that fuck with people's heads, that really cause great devastation for family, people, just in general. And nobody cares. Until your life goes down the fucking chaos sphere and you are fucked. Then you realize, oh my God, why did I make a mistake? No fucking shit, you made a mistake. It's obvious to a hawk looking at the pigeon like, fucking retard, why are you standing on that wire? I'm going to come swoop down and get you. Okay. And then the hawks come in and they pluck the pigeon right up. Nature, man, has a hierarchy. Human beings have a hierarchy, but we are not all the same. Take out skin color and all that. We are varieties of humans, just like there are varieties of birds. Same kind of nature. Okay. Some smarter than others, some dumber than others, some more athletic than others, some more beautiful than others, some uglier than others. But you need both. There's a balance on all of that. You need the pigeon humans as much as you need the hawk humans. But if you're in the fence, you're like some kind of above bird, you're a cardinal or like a fucking, I don't know, something close to a hawk, falcon. Eagles are top tier. I'm not an eagle. I know that much. But I'm definitely not a pigeon. So you have to, shows like that, How to Get Away with Murder, again, showing you that it's okay to kill somebody, then lie about it and cover it up rather than just take the responsibility and tell the truth about it. No, let's cover it up and pray to God that it never fucking happened. Ah! Yeah, that's good. That'll work out. You sit with that inside forever. Oh God. I don't know. I don't know. I have a dark sense of humor, though. I know that much. And this is, I don't know. I used to wonder, I'm like, where does this come from? Well, here's a funny story. I want to talk about your nature. I was watching Joe Rogan's podcast the other day, and I still watch it because despite what people say about him, he gets interesting people on there, and I try to keep my mind open into new perspectives and ideas, because if I close it off based on another person's opinions, who's losing out? Me. I need to do this for myself. So there's value in keeping your mind open to all things, regardless if you agree with them or not. He was talking about, how there's that theory of, maybe your ancestors passed down through DNA. There's still like a residue of that, like a energy or something. I think there's truth to that. Why? I was talking to my father the other day. He came over. He tells me a story. I talked about this on my podcast, but it's fucking great. He tells me a story about my great-grandfather, my grandmother's mom's husband, my great-grandmother Janalik. He was kind of a mean bastard, I guess. I didn't know him. I was like 1 or 2 when he died, so I never knew this guy. I never knew any of my great-grandfathers. They were all gone before I was here. But he heard a story from my great-grandmother who told my grandmother that one time they used to live on a farm, and his sense of humor went something like this. He disappeared for a couple of hours until my great-grandmother went looking for him. So she's looking around. She goes into the barn that they had, and she sees him, and he's hanging and hung himself. It's what he wanted it to look like. He rigged himself up in this harness, and he was able to cover the harness on the chest, wherever his clothes. And he strung himself up to make it look like he had hung himself in the barn until my great-grandmother discovered him. And I guess he got a kick out of it. That was his sense of humor. And then it goes, makes sense. I have a really dark sense of humor. If you watch any of my old animations, Weird Time Funnies, I got a twisted way of thinking. And I go, I came up from a pretty normal childhood, so where the fuck did that come from? Turns out my great-grandfather was a dick. So maybe some of that is true. I don't know, but I'd like to keep my mind open. Is that nonsense? I don't know. It explains a little bit. Because my first thought when my father told me that story about him doing that, I thought, that's fucking awesome. That's brilliant. Fucking loved one comes in, sees you there, thinks you're fucking dead and you killed yourself. My first thought is, as a joke, I look at, that's how I view things. I look at it as a joke and it's hilarious to me. But then if people really experience that, the psychological damage to that person, my great-grandmother, is fucking fucked up. It twists things. It hurts. It's pain. It's not good in the long run, right? Because I think it's fucking, the hurt is hilarious. It's like, I love to do that with stuff. I know you shouldn't put people through that stuff because, true story, My brother-in-law's cousin did kill himself. His son found him in a garage a couple years ago. That's real. So I've been on both sides. Somebody who faked it, real. Either one. Real is pretty fucked up, especially if it's a kid. That traumatizes the kid for life. And I knew the guy, and he was always quiet. He never talked about it. So that's another thing. If you got shit going on in your head, talk about those fears. Somebody will listen. Don't just sit with that shit, because then you end up in a garage dead. You gotta be careful. But on the other hand, my dark side's like, you have a right to go out any way you want. That's one way. You could have got into a car accident. That's tragic too. Or maybe you live to 90, I don't know. Tomorrow's my grandfather's 90th birthday. We're celebrating that. I don't know. There's a million different ways to look at things in this world. There is not one correct way. Always remember that, folks. There isn't a correct way to look at it. There's just your perception. What I share through these streams is my perception on how I interpret the world around me and my experiences and things I've learned and the lessons and truth and honesty about it. I'm just honest. And it helps me not consent to nonsense. And I don't live in fear anymore. Coronavirus is spreading. Great. My dark side's like, good. We could burn away some of this dead wood in the world. And if I'm one of those people, fine. You got to die someday, guys. Whether it's of a horrible virus or 90 years old, or you hang yourself in the garage, you're going to die one way or another. So it's okay. You don't have to live in fear. Fear creates doubt within you, and it allows your mind to be susceptible to nonsense, and you will believe the nonsense. And I know, as soon as information entered my mind, I always thought it was true. I took everything as true in a way, but I also used to hold things in contempt prior to investigation. So I had two separate ways of going about stuff. So what I've learned to do is I take in new information, and I try to find the truth within it. Is this something that is plausible? Is it something that is necessary to me? Will it help me grow, or is this going to hinder me? Is this just bullshit? I have open enough and calm because I'm calm within myself. Practice being in the now, always now, not worrying about the future, not dwelling on the past. This is the things that have helped me better understand the wizardry that goes on in this world, because you've been lied to your whole life. And as a kid, food pyramid was this way. Now everybody's like, comes out, oh, it's the keto diet. I'm like, nobody knows. Okay, nobody really knows. And the science that we do have that is true. I like, little science is great, not big science like this is the only way to describe the world. I go, can't something just not have an answer? And it doesn't. I think what baffles most people's minds is there will be an answer, and I'm going to figure it out. And then you get that obsessive part of the brain that's just like, I'm going to figure this out. Or you can just accept it, live life, be joyful. It's going to be great. It's a great ride, man. Enjoy the ride. Thank you, Bill Hicks. I try to quote, if I ever use anything like that, like I did with Bill, I try to quote people that said it before me, because everything's already been said in this world. I just reiterate it in my own words, but I have to give credit where credit's due. I don't, Miyagi said that. I didn't say it. It's been said before. I'm just saying it again because you got to dust off some old books, go to your library, figure out some information, relearn history a little bit, and not the history you think like the slaves, races. If you don't think you're a slave today, you're pretty fucking stupid, pigeon. Oh, why you calling me stupid, Matt? I saw Donald Trump. So you're already there, because if you talk about politics even once a little bit, you're dumb. you're like on these. You're not dumb. You're just unaware of certain levels of. You haven't gotten down to certain levels of truth because you haven't allowed certain other things to come in and break that wall for you. Break that wall of ignorance. And if once you get past that first wall of ignorance, then you can slowly trickle down each little lie and have some truth spread on it. Well, what are you talking about, Matt? Figure it out. Did we go to the moon? Figure it out. I don't know. But we went to the moon. There's a video about it. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think we did. But it doesn't matter whether we did or not. See? You gotta fuck with your head. See how easy it is to get people to get focused on a thing and then let that mind just run away with it. Mine does. It's hard as fuck to not see the things that I see. This is why I can't watch TV or shows anymore because I just rip it apart. I can't watch something just for the entertainment value anymore. It sucks. Unless it's an older movie, like pre 2000s, like like the Blues Brothers. Love that fucking movie. Like these two brothers, orphans coming back, trying to save their church. Awesome. Good car. It's fucking the car chase, the car wrecks in that movie are legendary. John Candy. Fucking, that shit's good. Excuse me. But whatever fucking bullshit. Oh, just everything coming out in movies now. Like, we need a female lead. Like, dude, come on. That's so nonsense. You know it's nonsense. The new Star Wars, nonsense. You took an okay story and then that was super popular and you shit all over it. So I hope people learn this lesson. Be a scout of truth. Go ahead of the curve. Figure this out in your life. You'll be ahead of the curve and you'll see this shit coming. You can warn people as best as you can, but it's up to them until the shit hits the fan. No, and then it's too late. But that's fine. Let people live in their ignorance. It's okay. I've realized one thing is I never want to ever rob people of their joy. If they're actually joyful in the life that they're living, great, do that. But if you're miserable and you're just a bitch moaning and complaining person that takes to the internet, stop. Stop it. Nobody cares. Saw a post on Facebook from a friend of mine, and it's just all about negative comments. I go, yeah, I wouldn't be on any of the social media sites either if it wasn't for this. And one day this probably won't even be here anyway. Why? Because they won't like what you say. Because I don't like the truth. The truth doesn't make me billions of dollars and doesn't control the masses. I said masses. Masses. You people with your selective hearing. Anywho, nature. Nonsense. Naysayers. Watch out. Nature has a way of restoring order. God, if you will, nature, fire, whatever you believe. I don't really care. It's true. You can go against it all you want in your mind, but it'll come back to bite you in the ass. I know this from first hand experience in my own life, and that I'm sharing that with people who are on the fence. It's not because there's some people that pick a side and they're just never going to budge, and that's fine. I'm talking about the people that are still like, why? It sounds right, but I don't know. Good. Let your mind, dissect a little bit of information, a little bit, weed through some of it and find out truthful things and then decide for yourself and apply shit, If you apply honesty to your life, your own life, people will hate you when you tell people the truth. You're a fucking asshole. You're a fucking asshole, man. Why can't you just be nice? No, because nice is why we are here in this whole shit show of a fucking world right now where people are like, oh, haha, that has no, like a woman out of line in the in the fucking in the White House, and she'd be putting her play. Oh man, there's a scene. Then I'm a sexist, misogynistic, narcissist. No, see, that's the word they program you to say when you don't tell the truth. That is unacceptable behavior again, and it should be dealt with. Should be dealt with. Like just dealt with. Like no. This is why human beings have a hard time ruling in giant groups of people because you can't rule people. You just can't. You can't rule a giant mass of people. You can only rule very small amounts. There's our leader. You're the doctor, and you're the guy who builds the house, and you guys are the worker bees. Go. Like it's just nature. I'm a special person. I'm like, chances are you're just a worker bee. You're just a worker bee, and you got to accept the fact that that's your hierarchy. Like hawks and pigeons, man. I'm not an eagle. Okay. I am not top tier, but I'm definitely a hawk, and I'm not a pigeon. If you accept your role in nature, the world, life becomes much more clear and enjoyable and less stressful. And it's easier to deal with people and their bullshit, But you do what you want. waste energy on the internet fighting with people that don't want to hear it because people can't, they lead with emotion. Anybody who leads with emotion, you will lose the argument. There isn't even an argument to be had because they're not listening to anything you have to offer them. So I like talking to people who lead with honesty and a willingness to hear something new, and I will be willing to hear something new too because I don't know everything. I've gotten, and the more I figure out, the less I've realized I actually do know. And it's scary to how much shit I really don't know or understand. Okay. But I'm learning and I keep reading books. I keep getting perspectives. I keep studying. I keep talking to people. I keep doing things. I keep applying life. I'm reading this book here, The Divine Within by Aldous Huxley. It's a bunch of essays on enlightenment and fucking great shit. Uh, this, don't start there if you're just getting into this stuff because you probably won't get it. I'll be honest. You need to start something like with Mark Manson's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. That's kind of like tier 1 intro, and then this is fucking like advanced shit, the advanced philosophy. Because trust me, if I was reading this 5 years ago, everything would have gone over my head. Even I got to look back on a few things in this. I'm like, what the fuck was that? Because, this is written in like the fucking 30s. So the terminology is old school, which, here's a wise suggestion something I just started doing is I have a notebook. If you want to combat nonsense, here's a real easy way. Know what words mean. I have a notebook of words that I don't fully understand, but I've recently been writing down a list of words and putting the definitions in there to better understand them. So if I need them for the future, I can. Because I believe a lot of words are just charged for shotgun blast to emotions and to get you riled up. And some of them are just fucking wrong. People use things in the wrong context. Like, this ain't what it means. And people just are bigot, racist, homophobe. Just throw it out there. Like, what does all that mean? Like, all right, he said it. It's like, what the fuck, dude? You need to educate yourself, guys, because don't let the schools or colleges do it because it ain't gonna happen. There's plenty of information out there that you can learn the shit on your own, and there's other people to discuss this stuff with if you're curious and can learn from each other. And there's a vast array of good information on the internet. It's not all nonsense. So again, just say no to the nonsense. My kid wants to be no. No needs to come back. No is the real N word. I'm going to get out of here. Don't take yourself too seriously, guys. See you next week.